Welcome back to Season 2 of It's All Admin. I'm Catharina from the National Support Centre, and this season I'm breaking down some of the top policy and compliance issues currently facing Baptist churches in Aotearoa with the help of the National Support Centre team and some special guests. Today I've got Karen Warner, the Leadership Coordination Director at the National Support Centre, here with me. Hi Karen.
Hi there, Catharina.
Now, some of you would have been with us at National Hui in November last year at Manukau City Baptist Church. We were discussing a range of big bites, and one of those big bites was Big Bite 3, developing a mechanism for keeping people safe. Karen, can you tell us a little bit more about what's been happening since then?
Yeah, sure. So there was sort of a resolution. It was discussed at the floor of Hui, and it was a great discussion. And there was a resolution that said, yes, we want to give the National Support Centre a mandate to go away and do something about developing a mechanism, starting with putting together a working group. So that's what we've done. End of last year, I said I volunteered to pull together a working group. And so we've been working on that over the last 2-3 months.
Wonderful. And what have you come to in terms of developing a mechanism?
Yeah, sure. So what we've done is we've developed something that we think is pretty good. We've got a proposal ready to go. And what we're going to be doing, it's been seen by Assembly Council. They've given us approval for it to go out to consultation. It's also been seen by the National Lead team, the regional leaders, and a focus group who all gave us feedback. So we think we've got something quite robust that we're now ready to take out to our churches for the consultation stage. So we're going to be taking it to each of the regional Hui. We're going to be holding some online Hui for people like elders and governance boards who can't make it to a regional Hui. With the hope that by the middle of the year, we'll be able to go back to Assembly Council with a final proposal for voting at Hui this year. So, last November, they will have given us a mandate, and we're hopeful that this November we can put something in place together as a union of churches.
Progress. Baptist being Baptist.
That's it.
I like it.
Yeah.
So can you tell us more about a little bit about what this mechanism is and when it might come into play?
Yeah, so it sits really nicely within what I've sort of started to phrase as our safety ecosystem. So as a union and collective, there's a lot of things we've already been doing to keep our people in our places safe. So this new mechanism that really does deal with serious misconduct is going to sit within that fuller ecosystem. Mm-hmm. So within that, there's things that happen locally. So if you're in a local church and you're listening to this, there'll be safety procedures that you have in place. So it might be things like child protection policies at your church, and you'd have other policies around safety at your church. Your pastor that you've employed and your staff that you would employ in their terms of call and their IEA, they will have elements in that require certain standards of behaviour from them, particularly of pastors. And then we've got things like Baptist registration that again are designed for professional development, but have things like supervision and an annual review that are part of that. And so this new, what we're proposing to be a serious misconduct process, is going to sit alongside our current complaints process, which we manage nationally. So those other things are often managed locally, but there's some things that we manage nationally on behalf of our churches. So we feel really confident that this is going to sit really nicely alongside what our complaints process team are already doing.
And so it's really for serious...
It is. So, Catharina, it's when one of our pastors commits what would be considered a serious offence. So it might be a moral or ethical offence. It might be something criminal. And we want to have in place something that comes alongside our churches because it's really difficult, Catharina, when something happens and the pastor's your friend.
Yeah, there's so many layers and relationships at that local church level. It makes it so complicated.
And our poor elders and governance boards are often left to handle something really difficult. And so what we want to do with this is to come alongside and say, we've got a really good process that we journey alongside you, but we want to be able to remove some of that responsibility for you, to make it a more independent process, to make it fair for the church and to make it fair for a pastor, because the pastor may have been accused of something they didn't do, and we want to make sure there's really good independent investigation for their sake as well as for the church and the people in the church.
Yeah. I appreciate that one of the key features that you're talking about is a little bit of independence in that investigation.
Yeah.
It really helps to keep people safe, doesn't it?
Totally.
Especially in that really small context.
Totally.
Now, from a local church level, I'm sure people are kind of wondering, how would their church be involved in the process? Can you speak to that a little?
Yeah, sure. So, what the information's going to come out soon and you'll be able to see all of it. But the general idea is that it would be an independent group. It would be made up of a representative from Assembly Council, a representative of either the national leader or representative of the national leader, somebody independent, who might be a good person to journey with that process. But the church would be still kept informed. So, for example, when it comes to doing an independent investigation, which of course you would want in all cases of serious misconduct, the church and that group of representatives together would determine who might be a suitable person to do that. And then those representatives would keep the church involved as necessary, keeping in mind that our New Zealand privacy laws are very tight and very strict. So it's really important in any case of serious misconduct that all of the information is kept to a very small group of people. But the church, of course, would be involved in that process as able to be.
And there's real benefit in knowing that there's people involved in that process who can bring in different levels of expertise as needed.
Yep.
And just knowing that the process is really robust.
Absolutely.
Local churches are not dealing with this stuff on a regular basis. It's not their bread and butter. It's not what they're there often for. It's not what they come into volunteering to be an elder for. And so, being able to make sure there's good processes in place is really essential, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we think that this is what it means for us to associate well together. And this is what it means for us to be a union of churches where we rely on each other to bring the different pieces that we need. Now, of course, cases like this don't happen often, Catharina.
Yeah.
We might have 2 or 3 times in a year where someone might need to go through a process like this. But when it does happen, it's devastating to churches and to our pastors, to the victim, of course, whatever that looks like, to the families. So we just want to be able to make sure we wrap that really well for everybody.
Yeah. So Karen, a lot of work's been done in this space. How can we have a look at what's been done, give some feedback, engage with this process of consultation?
Sure. So what we're going to have is from May the 9th, we're going to have all of the information available. There'll be a link off my Leadership Hub.
So that's leadership.baptist.nz.
That's it, Catharina. Well done. Leadership.baptist.nz. And there'll be a link from that to our intranet because, of course, there's documents that we don't just want out in public domain. So there'll be some information on the Leadership Hub on May 9. That information will be sent out to all of our churches, and then you'll be able to see the fuller documents on the intranet. And then, of course, feedback will be able to be given through those consultation forums that I mentioned, so Regional Hui, Online Hui, but also through email. So you'll be able to email the working group to let us know. And we want all of that feedback because we want this to be a process we own as a union of churches together.
Yeah, all 240 of us.
That's it, all of us.
Getting in together.
Totally, we're all in this together.
Coming to the table together.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Karen, for joining us today.
Yep.
And we'll see you on May 9th at the Leadership Hub.
Absolutely.
For more information and to jump into consultation.